Teddy's healthy, just playing football for the first time in a long time. So he's working. I think he's done a nice job this week, and he could see some action.
What have you seen from the receivers this week, especially the young ones trying to crack into the rotation with Isaiah being up for us?
Yeah, I think Malachi's done a really nice job. Malachi's really took a step this week, which I think we needed, and I'm excited for him. Josh Fleeks, I thought, had a good week. As an older guy who's played a lot of football for me in the past, he's definitely a playmaker. So we hopefully utilize him, and then I think Jalen's coming along. So we have a group of guys that can all really run. So just got to get them in the game.
I think those guys see the opportunity. Those young receivers, or even a guy like Fleeks who's experienced, like this fact that Isaiah's out, do something mentally for them.
Yeah, I can't speak for them. I just I hope so. I certainly hope that they recognize that it's an opportunity for them, but more importantly, the team's counting on them. But all of this is a process, right? All of this it's really hard to be a young player and come in and play right away. So we don't have many true freshmen playing that weren't here in the winter. So they're coming along, and as Coach Paterno used to say, it's better a play too late than a play too early. Some of these guys were working overtime to get them ready. So well, thank you. Thank you. He knows I like a cup of coffee when I talk to you guys. So, sorry.
Coach Sapp was talking yesterday about the importance of, it seems simple, but getting the ball into the hands of the guys who can make plays. And, what are some of the challenges of that when you had just, 59 offensive snaps in the first game? How do you do that when there are less opportunities? You're not snapping 70 to 80 times a game. What kind of stuff can you do to get that attention?
Sorry, we're still living in. It's like we're living in amongst construction. I think number one, we have to have more plays than that. So only 3 drives in the first half. Some of it being the new clock rules, but a lot of it just being kind of the flow of the game early. And I think that's when you see college football. Even the great game versus TCU and Colorado. I mean, it was 14-14 and 14-17. Ended up 48-40. So a lot of scoring is going to happen in the second halves, right? As teams kind of get into a rhythm. So I think for us, it's converting third downs, not turning the ball over. When you have 4 turnovers, you're going to have less plays, obviously. And then on defense, challenge those guys to be good on third down. I mean, you look at what Colorado did in the last game. I think they were 5 for 5 touchdowns in the red zone, and they won third down. So we have to be good on third down defense. We have to try to take the ball away. Shador did a great job protecting the football.
What did you like about how your team responded when they worked this week?
Yeah, I have no concerns about our guys ever responding. I think, as I talked about, the 2021, 2022, there's some times with some tough losses where they didn't respond great. I never worry about that with this group. That is the challenge, And then once you get to the game this week, we're going to have to respond. We're going to have to respond to their tempo, the early surge of the game. We're going to have to respond to, it's going to be an electric environment, all the things around the game. But, once the game starts, it's really about what happens in between the white lines. And we got a lot of guys who played a lot of football. We've got guys who played Ohio State and Michigan and Georgia and Alabama and, Penn State. And so we played a lot of big football games here at Nebraska. So this is another one. This is a great game. And I'm hoping that our guys respond both. They have all week, but they respond in the game to the highs and lows that come.
Matt, you said earlier this week you wanted to keep it about the football. How has your team done in terms of, blocking out some of the hype and the noise? Because it seems like it's really built over the course of the season.
Yeah, I start the season off by, every year I delete Twitter and Instagram, and I just kind of live my life old school. If I want to get the news, I read the paper. You guys all do a great job, by the way. But the players don't. So, I haven't seen them in any way. We don't talk about those things. Nothing about this game for us is anything other than football. It's a great opportunity versus a great opponent. That's me. That's the coaching staff. The players, they've been very focused. They've been very locked in. Our practices have been really, really hard. They've been really, really hard. And I think our guys have responded really well.
When you have a situation like Ty Robinson being out for the first half, does that change how you practice reps-wise through the week?
Yeah. That's a great question. Ty ran some with the ones, some with the twos. The way we kind of alternate, everyone gets equal reps. So, we've always kind of looked at Cam and Blaze as co-starters. Well, now it's Cam and Blaze will start. Ty will wait for his opportunity and then rotate in. Like when we did 2 minute, Ty was out there with the ones because we assumed 2 minutes going to happen at the end of the game. Obviously it could happen at the end of the half. But, Ty got a good week of practice in.
Do you think, you kind of talked about how you're not worried about this team responding to adversity. Do you think the difficulty of the winter and the spring kind of prepared your team for those challenges throughout the season?
Yeah, I think it's in their nature. In that, I think you saw that last year. They, once kind of, Coach Frost was let go, and you saw them just battle back each week. I think it's in their nature. There's so many guys here that are true Cornhusker men that want this program to be great, and they're just built on grittiness. We're not a super flashy organization. We're kind of a gritty, tough. We want to be a gritty, tough. That's our identity, gritty, tough, organization. But we've asked them to do a lot of really hard things. I had one of our starters. I kind of try to meet with some guys on Wednesday and visit with them, and I had one guy say to me like this: since the time we started in January till now, it's the hardest thing he's ever done in his life. And he was saying that in a grateful manner, like, man, if you do this for, look at the freshmen, if they do this for 3 or 4 years, how good they'll be. And so I think we've built some resiliency within the program, but that all comes from the players. We've given them hard things to do, and they've crushed it.
How does the routine change an early kick?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is, like, it's an 11:05 kick for us, right? Like, the old days, I would have kept all the times the same. You can't do that anymore because everyone's cell phone, adjusts. But, when we were at Coach Coughlin and we went to the West Coast, everything stayed on East Coast time. So we never panicked about, oh, my gosh, it's this. So we'll probably get to the stadium 15 minutes later, instead of most people get there 2 hours before. We get there 2.5, 2:15. We'll probably get there 2 hours before. It's a little bit of a trip from the hotel. But nothing's really different, nothing's really different. We're gonna go see a movie tomorrow night as a team. We're gonna practice tomorrow morning. We're gonna meet. We're gonna go there. We're gonna fellowship. We're gonna get up. We're gonna do our little neuro charge and go to the game and play. So, fortunately for us, it's not a super long flight, and fortunately for us, that time zone, even though it's 10 o'clock, it's really 11:05 for us. Which, the hardest period in practice for us on Tuesday. We do a 2 huddle drill. It's as tough as anything you've ever done, and we did that right at 11:05. And I'd love to say on purpose, but not really. And the guys kind of recognize that, like, hey, it's 11:05. We practice in the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we should be ready for an early kick.
When would a week kind of go for guys like Jamari and Nick?
Yeah, Jamari and Nick are up. They're ready to play. So Jamari and Nick are up. Great news for us. Jamari and Nick are up. Teddy's up. So anything beyond that will all just be like a coaching decision. Those guys are in shape. I'll be honest with you. Our medical staff, our Dr. Mathieson, our training room staff. We hired Chris Peduzzi this offseason, who was with the Eagles for a long time, along with Drew Hamlin, who's been here and returned to play, and all those guys. Like, they're pretty elite. So the guys come back, they're in really good shape. So Jamari's full go.
Is there a big travel roster change between conference and non-conference for you?
Yeah, we're allowed 74 74 in conference. I think we're taking like 77 or 78 in the conference game. I'm not a big, I don't like to take people just to take them. But, on special teams, there's some guys that are really emerging, which is great. And usually you need those guys to emerge because as you have injuries, you replace those guys with, But, we haven't had a lot, which is great too. So, the Tavion Thompsons, the Elliott Browns, the Braden Clovers, there's more, so forgive me. But all those guys are doing such a great job for us that they're coming along and they could help us on teams. And, again, in the altitude, Coach Osborne came, talked to me about the game the other day. Obviously, the altitude will be a factor. We're going to play a lot of guys.
Gabe last had 8 yards to carry, but only 7 rushes. With the nature of this game, do you anticipate maybe getting him the ball a little bit more?
We'll see. I think anytime someone has 8 yards to carry, they should touch the ball more. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like they should. It had a great long run, so we'll see how the game goes. A large part of this is if they're going to score 45, then it might alter how we play. If our defense plays well the way we think we're capable of, keep it a close game, then we can maybe run the ball a little more. But I think Gabe's a factor, Ramir's a factor. Those guys have to play really well for us. I think they had explosive plays in the last game, 1 on the kickoff return, 1 running, that allowed us to get going. So I'm hoping we start with a little more rhythm than we did the last game. But no matter how we start, we're gonna think about the last 5 minutes of last game and how we can improve that in this game.
Anything else, guys?
Anyway,
Thanks, Coach.
nothing. All right, y'all. Thanks, guys.